gorgeous hawk. Amazing. That was not my imagination. Hi, I'm Caroline Dewey, and this is The Intuitive Age. Today, I want to talk about intuition. Surprise. I thought it was pretty important to start this series somewhere along the way by just identifying what I mean by intuition and what I mean by the intuitive age and how we can use it, how we can grow with our intuition and make good use of it in our lives and do good things in the world with it as well. So, simply put, intuition is a part of our sensory system. It's just like the way we see things, smell things, taste things, touch things, hear things. You know, we intuit information in the same way that we sense all types of other information. It's just a different area of the faculty. And it's definitely connected with our imagination in particular. So, you know, a lot of us have been kind of taught to believe that imagination means made up. You know, imagination refers to things that are not real, that are fabricated, that are just in our head, or things like that. And while of course that is part of our imagination, is this incredible creative capacity, this incredible ability that we have to create with our minds new ideas, new places, new concepts, new thoughts, even new words. The imagination is definitely all about that it brings into our reality things that were not there before. But that's kind of the crux of it as well, is that it's not all made up, and in fact the imagination is really just the root place of where things are born. So, you know, you may have heard people say before that everything was once a thought. You know, every table you come across, somebody envisioned that before they made it. You know, they had an idea, they imagined it. And of course, same with all of our technology and everything. You know, everything was a thought before it was a thing. And that means it was tied into the imagination. Now, imagination and intuition are directly linked because they tap into the same arena or the same field of information and energy. And so we can use that creative, imaginative, open-mindedness that comes through our imagination. We can use that to intuit things. So it's, you know, it's a bit of overlap, and maybe I can get a little deeper or more specific into those definitions later on. But my main point that I really want to make about it is to clarify that for people, that the imagination is not just, you know, a bunch of bullshit. The imagination is where things become real, and it's not all made up. And so, you know, and I tell people this a lot when we're learning about how to use our intuition or how to sense into information from the field or from somebody else's aura or from a spirit or a being of some kind. A lot of times we can get kind of stuck and think that, I don't know, I guess I just made that up, right? Or it might just be my imagination. And that's where there's a lot of this sort of misunderstanding that I really want to clear up for people, because it has to come from somewhere. Like, yes, of course, sometimes there's going to be random information that comes through, sort of like a brain fart, you know, where maybe even because of our own resistance to our intuition, we might even sort of self-sabotage by giving ourselves, from a subconscious level, giving ourselves, oh, gorgeous hawk. Oh, I don't know if you'll see him. Beautiful. Amazing. I'll take that sign, right? That was not my imagination. An incredibly beautiful bird just flew right out of this tree right in front of me, and just made a terrific display here. Okay, so I'll take that. Anyway, so we might give ourselves bad information in order to kind of play into this self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh, my intuition is not real, it's not strong, I'm not tuned in, I'm just picking up random stuff. That's possible. But I would say most of the time, if you are intentional about practicing with your intuition, if you're intentional about, using your gifts for something good, for healing or happiness, or, to improve somebody else's life or something like that, then there's always going to be meaning found in the information that you receive. And, sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes we have to read into it. Sometimes we have to be careful not to read into it too much. There's a lot of nuance there, right? But I just think it's really important to understand that. And the more that you exercise your imagination and that creative capacity within you, the more you open your mind up to be able to receive information in this very creative way, which we call intuition. And, the other thing I'll say about imagination is we live in a world now where we are fed a lot of entertainment, right? Which can, to some degree, stimulate your imagination. Watching a movie or a show or reading a book or something like that, looking at pictures and things, it's better than never even going near your imagination, for sure. But it's important to know the difference between being entertained in an imaginative way or versus actually using your own imagination. It would behoove you to sit and visualize your own story once in a while, or if you like to color and you do a lot of coloring books, it's like anything is better than nothing, as always, for sure. But what I would recommend you do to engage with your imagination is to spend some time just coloring on a blank page as well. Give yourself space to let something flow through you, something that was not there before, because coloring in the lines, again, it's great. Working with color, working with art, and choosing the colors you're going to use, that's all creative, that's all imaginative. But when we're just looking at something, we're really strengthening the optical nerve. We're strengthening our eye muscles. We're strengthening the part of our brain that perceives information and experiences visually. We're not really exercising our imagination, which is just a different area of the brain, because you're not being creative, right? If you're just watching. So it's really useful to make a practice to engage your imagination, because it's the same faculty where we get the intuitive information. So, if you have trouble visualizing things or wanting to work on your intuitive sense from the visual perspective of getting imagery and whatnot, then you have to practice. You have to work on that imaginative sense like any other muscle and strengthen that for yourself. And then that gives that spiritual sense of intuition, the spiritual beings or fields or whatever that you're trying to communicate with, it gives them a lot more to work with, because your brain has been trained to envision things, to imagine things, to perceive beyond what you normally see and feel. So that's my basic info on intuition and imagination and the connections between the two. And the other thing I was going to just mention is about how intuition can be helpful for us and how it can make for an improved quality of life for us by using our intuition. And this is it really spans the gamut of how you can use this to help you. And I think it's also really individualized, right? We all have different lives that we lead and different circumstances that we move in and out of every day. And so it's going to show up differently for everyone, and it's going to be useful for different people in different ways. But, the simplest example is you can work with your intuition to get and really get yourself trained up on how to sort of manifest or intuit a perfect parking spot, okay? Or how to help yourself get your ideal job. Or even if you already have a job that you're sticking with, you can use your intuition to make you better at your job. And certainly better in relationships, better communication styles, better health. You can use your intuition to heal yourself. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. The massive amount of areas of life that this will help with. And so that's so much of why I'm here sharing this series called The Intuitive Age, because I truly believe we are stepping into a new era of our humanity, a new era of our life experience, and together as humans, as a species, and that a massive part of what's going to be coming forward through this change is our willingness to really understand what it means to be human. And I believe wholeheartedly that our intuitive sense is a fundamental part of what makes us human. And we have just forgotten it. We all have it. We're born with it, but we don't get taught how to use it. Nobody talks about it when we're kids. And in many cases, if you tried to talk about it as a kid, which is certainly the story for me, people just kind of brush it off or write you off or whatever. So in our cultures, we just haven't been making use of it. We haven't been working on it, strengthening it in the same way that we do with other senses. Our visual senses were like through the roof. That's all we seem to care about. That's not true. But, our tactile sense, seeing, hearing, all these things are things that we've focused on and worked on and improve upon. But we just don't do that with our intuition. And the time is now. And so there's a lot of changes forthcoming into the way that we're building this sort of new world for ourselves, socially, economically, politically, and personally. And I think a lot of it is about really getting to know ourselves, getting to understand who we are on a more fundamental level, and then really coming to know our gifts and how to use them, and how to use them not just for our own personal benefit, of course, but to really make the world a better place. And that's what this intuitive age is really all about in my mind. So lots more to come. Certainly open to your questions. Please let me know if any of this didn't make sense, or if you want me to, go deeper on anything that I've mentioned so far, or explain anything that is unclear. And yeah, I'll be back more with soon. I'll be back with more soon. And yeah, I hope you have an intuitive day.